This is Shashazad Rana, and today's topic is classification of businesses. In this topic, we are going to study about the difference between the primary sector, secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. Then we are going to discuss about the reasons for the changing importance of the business classification. For example, in developed countries and the developing countries. Then we will also discuss about the difference between the public sector and the private sector in mixed economy. So let's talk about the stages of the economic activities first. The first stage in the economic activity is the primary sector. As the name suggests, the primary sector of the industry provides raw material to the secondary industry. Primary sector of the industry extracts and uses the natural resources of earth to produce raw material used by other businesses like iron ore, oil, etc. If we talk about the secondary sector of the industry actually manufactures good or processes good and convert them, that raw material, into manufactured or finished products. These are the final products that we use in our usual life. For example, you can say the cars or even computer, the constructed building. These all are the example of secondary sector. Then we can have the third sector, that is the tertiary sector. This sector actually provides services to the consumer and other sectors in the industry. For example, banking, retail, insurance, transport, even hotels and restaurants, etc. The next is the relative importance of the economic sector. If we talk about the relative importance, so that means we are actually discussing about the percentage of the total number of workers employed in each sector in an economy, or maybe we are talking about the value of the output of goods and services and its proportion in the national output, total national output, right? Now, the countries that are in the developing phase are usually depending on the primary sector activities like farming, mining, etc. So most people are employed in the primary sector. As the economy grows and they become economically developed, they move from that primary sector to the secondary sector. And similarly, when the economy get more developed, the most developed countries, then they are more towards the tertiary sector. That means the employment level or the national output is more dependent on the tertiary sector rather than primary or secondary one. Now, changes in the sector importance, obviously when the economy starts to grow, they move from primary to secondary and secondary to tertiary. That means if we talk about the deindustrialization, that could be the example of transferring from the secondary sector to the tertiary sector. So in 1970s, for example, UK transferred their economic sector from that secondary sector to tertiary sector. And similarly in 1980s, in early 80s, China and India shifted from primary sector to secondary sector. Now let's talk about some economy. That is, one of the economy is mixed economy. In mixed economy we have two sorts of sectors. That is the private sector and the public sector. In mixed economy both are working together. Private sector actually are the businesses that are not owned by the government. These businesses make their own decision of how to produce, what to produce, and for whom to produce. These are actually profit-making organizations, so they believe in high profit. And obviously with less government control and less government intervention. But on the other hand, the second sector that is working together, the public sector, are actually government owned or controlled. These government owned public sector makes decision according to the government's decision, right? So the government is the one who decides what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. The common example could be the healthcare services or education services. These services are usually owned by the government in most of the economies. But with the passage of time, there are some changes. That means some utility services are transferred from public sector to private sector because these sectors are more efficient and probably they can invest more capital because of the limited amount of capital the government has and obviously the time and the resource required for it. The particular government transfer some of the activities or some of the departments from their side to the private sector. Okay, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thank you.